Hi everybody, here's our note catcher that you need for today. And let's start with a review. So the first thing I want you to talk about with your family is, why did the separatists decide to leave England? Why did the separatists decide to leave England? They left because... Okay, and then I'm going to read you the last couple sentences from our read aloud on Friday. It said, the separatists were about to begin pilgrimage or journey to the New World. From here on, they would be known as pilgrims. A pilgrimage usually refers to a special kind of trip, one that is made for religious reasons, like that of the separatists. People who go on a pilgrimage are called pilgrims. So the separatists became pilgrims when they decided to take the long journey across the ocean to worship as they pleased. Okay? So remember that whenever I talk about pilgrims in today's read aloud, I'm talking about the separatists. It's the same group of people. Okay? And why are they called pilgrims again? Talk to your family. I kind of just said it. Why are they called pilgrims? Do a little check for understanding. Make sure you're with me here. Talk to someone in your family. Why were they called pilgrims? All right? So today's read aloud is about the pilgrim's trip to the New World. Listen carefully to find out what happens on their journey across the Atlantic Ocean. All right, this is called The Voyage of the Mayflower. On a warm September day in the year 1620, 102 men, women, and children gathered in the port of Plymouth, England. They walked up to the gangplank of a small sailing ship bound for a new life in America. So who were these people who were sailing to America? What were they called? I know I've said it, I just want to make sure you're getting it. What were these people called? Most of the passengers were separatists. So passengers are people just traveling on the ship. A passenger is a person who is traveling on the ship. It's not the crew who works on the ship. They were not only leaving their country behind, but they were leaving their identity as separatists behind as well. They were now pilgrims making a pilgrimage in search of religious freedom in the New World. The name of their ship was the Mayflower. It was not meant to be a passenger ship, so it was not meant to carry people. Rather, it had been used to carry cargo to and from France for many years. Okay, so first of all, what do you think is the difference between a cargo ship and a passenger ship? So a cargo ship is in charge of what? What does a cargo ship do? And then what does a passenger ship do? How are those two things different? Okay, talk to your family about that and pause the video if you need to. Okay, so then think about it. All these people are on a cargo ship. Okay, it wasn't meant for people to be riding on it. What do you think this cargo ship does not have that the people might want? What might a cargo ship not have for the pilgrims? That's your first question. Okay, and you can say it might not have... Okay, so think about it. There's this big group of people riding on this ship, and people weren't supposed to be riding on it. What do you think they wish they had on this ship that they probably don't have? Okay, pause the video if you need to. Write your answer down. Start with an uppercase letter and end with a period. Make sure you get practice with that. All right, so the pilgrims were crowded into an area beneath the main deck along with the ship's cannons. We do not expect trouble, the ship's master told the pilgrims, but we must be ready in case it comes. Pirates patrol these waters looking for treasure and waiting to capture unprotected ships. Okay, so we're already hearing about one of the dangers of being on this ship, pirates. Okay, it says pirates patrol these waters looking for treasure and they wait to capture unprotected ships. Okay? Also, who is listening? What was the name of this ship? I said it a little bit ago. What was the name of this ship? If you need to rewind a bit, that's fine. Okay. The passengers took turns going up on deck for fresh air and exercise. Despite the calm seas, a few of the passengers, unused to the constant motion of the ship, felt ill. That means that they got seasick. The air between decks was often stale, adding to their discomfort. Gradually, they grew used to their cramped or crowded conditions on board of the Mayflower. So it sounds like they're pretty uncomfortable. Think about why. The Atlantic Ocean, however, was only waiting until they were far from shore to spring her traps on them. "Storm clouds, Captain," cried a sailor one day. Okay, so your next question says, why weren't the Pilgrims comfortable on the Mayflower? You could say they were not comfortable because, you could say they were what? Why were they not comfortable on the Mayflower? And storm clouds are coming. One sailor said, "Storm clouds, Captain." "Aye, aye," replied the captain. "See to it that everything is tied down so that it won't wash overboard. If we start taking on heavy seas, warn the passengers to do the same." Overboard means to go over the side of the ship. So they're packing everything up so it won't go overboard. Okay, so there's another danger of being on the ship. We learned about the pirates. We're learning about these storms. Some people are getting seasick. Soon enough, the storms and high winds of the North Atlantic struck with fury. Now even those who had so far been untroubled by the ship's motion felt sick. The Mayflower, tossed high on huge waves, was lifted and dropped down forcefully again and again. So the ship is going over big waves, and it's kind of going up and down, and it's making people feel sick in their stomach. Rains poured down up the ship and dripped between the decks. A few men offered to help the crew. One was tightening some ropes when a great wave hit the Mayflower from the side. Before he could grab his rope, the wave struck with all its might, and with a cry, the man was thrown over the side of the ship. "Man overboard!" yelled the ship's navigator. So you heard the word navigator in a previous lesson. What is a navigator? Anybody remember? Think about it with your family. What is a navigator? So a man just fell overboard. Look at him. He's down in the water. Let's see if you can see it better. Okay. Think about how dangerous that is. 3 men rushed to the side of the ship, throwing ropes toward the struggling man. He managed to grasp one of them and held on desperately as he disappeared beneath the water. Sputtering and gasping for air, he bobbed up to the surface, still holding the rope in his hands. The sailors drew him closer to the ship, and reaching over the side, one of the sailors grasped the man's arm and pulled him up to safety. Phew! Fortunately, the storm soon blew itself out, but the passengers remembered their fear. After that, few of them dared to go on deck except in smooth seas. Okay, so that's your next question. What were some of the dangers at sea? Okay. What were some of the dangers at sea? I talked about a few of them. At last, on a cold November day, the cry went up, "Land ho!" So they left in September. The Pilgrims left in September, and that means that they've been on the ship for 2 whole months. They've been riding on this ship, and they finally saw land. "Glory to God," the Pilgrims cried. Glory means praise or honor. They had crossed the wide ocean and reached the eastern shores of North America at last. So the Pilgrims had finally made it to America. The Pilgrims had no idea what to expect of the new land ahead of them, but they had heard stories of native people living there. So while they called their destination or landing place the New World, perhaps it was not such a new world after all. Okay, so who remembers who was already living in this place? We know Columbus had already found this about 100 years ago, but when he got there, there was a group of people already living there, a group that we learned about back when we were still in school. Who was it? Okay, so that was the end of today's read aloud. I've got a couple more questions for you to think about. One is, which danger on the sea would be most frightening for you if you crossed the ocean on the Mayflower? So would you be most scared of the pirates? Would you be scared of storms? Would you be scared of like going overboard? What would be most scary for you? And why? And then how do you think the Pilgrims felt when they finally sighted land after 2 months at sea? So they were on ships for 2 whole months, hoping and waiting to get to this land. How do you think they felt when they finally made it? Think about it. Okay. I love you guys and I miss you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.